You have heard the noise. Obasanjo accusing Atiku of bribery. Atiku firing back. Here's what nobody has fully explained yet. And why one of Obasanjo's own former aides thinks this entire fight has nothing to do with Bola Ahmed Tinubu at all. So here's what happened. Obasanjo wrote a letter responding to former Ogun State Governor Olusegun Obasanjo about what led up to the 2003 election. In that letter, Obasanjo claimed Atiku Abubakar gave the late Speaker Ghali Na'Abba 5 million naira to push impeachment proceedings against him. Atiku didn't take that quietly. His response was even titled, "The grave is not a witness box." His argument was simple. Why bring this up now, after Na'Abba has already passed and can't confirm or deny anything himself? He also pointed out something people are asking too. If this was true, why wasn't any action taken back then when Obasanjo had the full power of the Nigerian government behind him? Now here's where it gets interesting. Akin Osuntokun, Obasanjo's own former political advisor, pushed back on the idea that this letter was written to help Bola Ahmed Tinubu. His argument was this: Obasanjo is actually critical of Tinubu's government, and according to Osuntokun, the only ticket Obasanjo is clearly rooting for is Obi and Obi-Kwankwaso. Listen to this.
There are always conspiracy theories in politics. And look, Segun Obasanjo made allusions to, not even allusions, wrote in his book quite elaborately, his relationship with Obasanjo, whatever the misunderstanding between them during that period, elaborately, in his book, in his memoirs. And then again, he said recently that he then again, come up with this, his own the suspicion that they had about Obasanjo deceiving them. Look, again, I was a campaign director at that time from the Southwest. So the question, whenever the governors of AD governors talk about deceiving them, it boggles me, that in what respect? Somebody said that they had written the election results, before the whatever. And so if Obasanjo was going to write the results of the election, before, and why then will he go and lobby the support of Afenifere for his own re-election? I mean, look, it doesn't work. Why will he? Well, I was very active in this period, and I can definitely tell you that, there was no such thing that happened. That election that, which more, maybe it was counterintuitive, but in each state you can explain really why, the AD government lost. In Abeokuta, for instance, it is not a coincidence that the three successors of Oshoba, Bengadanya, Governor, Amosu, and then the present governor, Abiodun, these three were in they were in PDP. They were the ones that were, and then of course Obasanjo comes from Ogun State. So these were the people up in opposition against Oshoba. As I said, look, if these three people had become politically influential or powerful enough to become governors successively, then there's really no need for explanation about what took place. It wasn't, these people were there, and they were quite strong at the political grassroots level. So this is, I don't believe that there was any rigging of the election. And as I said, that's why each state, if you take each state, one by one, you can actually, find the logical reason, why the governors lost. But I don't, the insinuation that Obasanjo was saying this one in his letter to Oshoba, that this is an attempt to, give advantage to Tinubu. Look, well, first and foremost, I don't think it is correct. Secondly, it is illogical. Obasanjo is critical of Tinubu. If you can say that Obasanjo is supporting any ticket, it is Peter Obi and Kwankwaso. As a matter of fact, they are the main sponsor of that ticket. So so how do you then, rationalize? How do you, from that, the fact, again, this is obvious, this is conspicuously obvious that he's supporting Obi and Kwankwaso. So how then do you explain, working for Tinubu or insinuating working for Tinubu from? Maybe you can clarify that. But again, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that the reply was a response to damage Atiku. I don't know what, I think it's absolute bumper. And the evidence you need for that is the role that he's playing, in sponsoring the Obi-Kwankwaso ticket. As a matter of fact, he's the principal sponsor. He was the one who put the two of them together. Kwankwaso was, even it would have happened 4 years ago, and I remember him saying, he was saying to Kwankwaso this time around, that look, you had agreed the other time, you both of you, and Obi saying that he will spend one time, Kwankwaso now will have been the beneficiary of that. So this is what I know, and this, as you said, is in the public domain. So I don't know how you reconcile Obasanjo being this major sponsor of the Obi-Kwankwaso ticket, reconcile with the theory that he is working for Tinubu because Tinubu visited him, in 2023.
And this isn't the first time Obasanjo has openly criticized Atiku either. In past interviews, he has said picking Atiku as his number 2 was one of his biggest mistakes, said his judgment wasn't right, and that he eventually just gave up, trying to correct him.
For instance, one of the mistakes I made was picking a number 2 when I was going to become president. But because it is a genuine mistake, God saved me out of it.
The second thing I want to say is to congratulate Speaker for a very insightful lecture. And if I had to give that lecture, I probably won't give it any better than you have. Point people will say is, how will he do all this? How will he? I say what I know. I've been called names because of my position on Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the Waziri of Adamawa, my former vice president. Those things that I've said, as far as my knowledge of Atiku is concerned, I stand firmly by them because they are, to the best of my knowledge, very true.
So here's the real question. Do you think Obasanjo's issues with Atiku is genuinely political, or is it personal? Going all the way back to how their partnership ended, drop your take in the comments. Now, journalist Babajide Otitoju made an even sharper point. He said Obasanjo isn't fighting Atiku Abubakar because of Tinubu at all. According to him, Obasanjo believes he has hurt Atiku badly enough that if Atiku ever became president, he would come after him. Listen to this.
Obasanjo does not want Atiku to become the president of this country. He has demarcated him in his books. He has demarcated him in interviews. So if Obasanjo is doing his best to make sure Atiku does not win an election, he is doing that not because of Bola Tinubu, because he believes that he has hurt Atiku sufficiently to the point that Atiku would move against him if Atiku becomes the president of this country. So he does not want somebody that he sees as the exemplar of corruption, somebody that he sees as the exemplar of disloyalty to become the president of Nigeria. And he has done his best over the years to make sure that Atiku does not get there. In fact, in 2007, he tried to use his powers to ensure that Atiku did not get on the ballot. But the courts ensured that Atiku got on the ballot. It's the same court that Atiku and his people continue to call names. The same judiciary that forced or ordered INEC to put Atiku on the ballot within 48 hours, that they now abuse, they now call all kinds of names. So once Obasanjo made that claim that Na'Abba tried to impeach him, and that Na'Abba was given a bribe of 5 million naira, Atiku scamp, Atiku's spokesman came out to say, coming at a time when the political landscape ahead of the 2027 general election is taking shape, the obvious objective is to besmirch my person and reputation and confer an undeserved political advantage on the former president's relative. So who is his relative? As far as I'm concerned, Obasanjo does not have any relative in the presidential contest. Nigerians, however, know better. They are too discerning to be distracted by stale allegations resurrected for political convenience. Although Tinubu's name was not mentioned, but it is clear to the blind that he was referring to Bola Ahmed Tinubu because he sees himself as the likely winner of the presidential election in 2027, and that if he does not win, then it is likely to be Bola Tinubu that retains the presidency. But Atiku too has been resurrecting decades-old allegations against Tinubu. The drug-related civil forfeiture in the US by Tinubu dates back to before the advent of the Fourth Republic. That is talking about before 1999. So for me, this is a classic case of the pot calling the kettle black. And it's a case of Atiku spokesman being clever by half. Because the case that they have resurrected, trying to get Donald Trump's attention, the case of civil forfeiture in a drug-related matter, is even older than the matter that Obasanjo has resurrected. So if a matter should not be resurrected because it's old, why have they hired lobbyists? Why are they paying so much money to try and get the attention of Donald Trump's administration on the matter of civil forfeiture by Bola Ahmed Tinubu in a drug-related matter that had been completed a long time ago? And every electoral cycle, this matter has been brought up. But Atiku knows that this is the last shake of the dice for him. So he will do whatever it takes to ensure that he gains an advantage over the other contestants, especially the president.
So that is the full picture. An old allegation resurfacing, Atiku firing back, and people close to Obasanjo suggesting this fight has much deeper, more personal roots than just 2027 politics. Make sure you share this video and drop your honest take below. Subscribe for more of this, and I'll see you in my next video.